We've helped thousands of mesothelioma patients over the years, and one question that always comes up is, what caused my mesothelioma and why now? People are often in shock when they hear that even family hugs could have potentially given you mesothelioma. And that's what we're going to be looking at in today's video. Hi, I'm Deborah from SurvivingMesothelioma.com, and we are the publisher of the best-selling mesothelioma book, Surviving Mesothelioma. Over 18,000 patients have grabbed their copy, and you can get yours for free by clicking the link below. So, what causes mesothelioma? There's only one cause, and that's asbestos. When you breathe in or swallow asbestos fibers, it can cause mesothelioma. Not everyone who breathes in asbestos will get mesothelioma, but it does put you at risk. Asbestos is a naturally occurring mineral that was used in construction, manufacturing, shipbuilding, automotive industries, and more because of its heat-resistant properties. But when it's inhaled or ingested, asbestos fibers can cause mesothelioma and other diseases, especially if you're working around it all the time. Companies knew this all the way back in 1949, but they put their profits over your health. Back in the day, asbestos was literally in everything, from floors to ceiling tiles and everything in between. It was even in the hair dryers and fake snow. Many companies knew about the dangers, but they hid them from you so that they could get rich. Even one of the directors of Bendix, which is now Honeywell, knew about the dangers of asbestos and then said, quote, "If you have enjoyed a good life while working with asbestos products, why not die from it?" Disgusting, isn't it? But what does asbestos have to do with hugging your family members? And how could a loving hug cause mesothelioma? All right, imagine this. You're waiting for your loved one to get home from work. They come through the door, they're tired, but they're really happy to see you, and you rush over for a big hug, and you're not knowing that it could be potentially life-threatening. And that sounds crazy, right? You see, asbestos is made up of tiny fibers, and they are so small that you can't even see them. Now, if someone works around asbestos, these nearly invisible fibers can hitch a ride home on their clothes, kind of like little microscopic hitchhikers. And so your family member comes home, they give you a hug, but those little asbestos fibers, they jump ship. And they're moving from their clothes to yours. And here's the thing, they don't just stick to clothes. The tiny fibers can then float in the air, and then before you know it, you might breathe them in. But once they're in your body, they can cause all sorts of problems. They can settle in the lining of your lungs, your belly, or even around your heart. And then over time, and we're talking like 20, 50 years later, they can cause mesothelioma. And it's wild to think that something as simple as a hug or doing laundry could be dangerous, right? But it's happened before. This is known as, quote, secondary asbestos exposure. There have been many times where family members, especially wives and kids, have gotten sick just from being around clothes with asbestos on them. Luckily, most companies stopped using asbestos in the 1980s. The corporate cover-up of the dangers of asbestos tragically robbed generations of hardworking Americans of their health. Thankfully, there is some justice through asbestos trust funds. These funds were established by asbestos companies to pay victims that got asbestos-related diseases like mesothelioma. If you'd like to know more about how you may be able to access these trust funds, please click the link in the description below. We all know that no amount of money can undo the damage that they've done. But these payouts can be used for whatever you like, treatments, savings for your family, paying off the mortgage, or even a well-deserved vacation. Now, what else can cause mesothelioma? Well, in another more recent discovery, it's that talcum powder or baby powder can get contaminated with asbestos. Now, you might be wondering, How does talc end up with asbestos in it? Well, when companies mine for talc, they might accidentally scoop up some asbestos too if they're not super careful. This is a big deal, especially when it comes to products like talcum powder that we use directly on our skin. Now, if asbestos gets into talc products like baby powder or makeup, those super small asbestos fibers float in the air when we use the product, and then we might breathe them in without even realizing it. But once they're in our lungs, those fibers can settle in and cause trouble over time. It's important to note that not all talc contains asbestos, and companies are working hard to ensure that their talc is clean. But it is definitely something to be aware of, especially if you use talc products regularly. Remember, it's not the talc itself that is the problem. It's only when it gets contaminated by asbestos. I hope this video gave you some insight as to some of the causes of mesothelioma. Please share it, and I'll see you in the next one.